Milo, is that you?
There, I think I got it. Spoon?
Yes.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Are you?
I mean, how can you tell I'm not here? I'm right across from you.
Exactly. Well, I know, but people can't see us. It's all audio, eh? So
Yeah, I got a face for radio. That's for sure.
You could be driving across Interstate 90 or 94. Which one's closest to you? Is it 90 that goes through Milwaukee, or 94? 94 goes through Milwaukee, yeah. And then what one runs up to Green Bay from Milwaukee?
I-43 and I-41.
There's two of them side by side?
A little side by each. Yeah, one goes around the west side of Lake Winnebago, and one comes around the east side of Lake Winnebago.
Yeah. 41's the most direct route, isn't it, from Milwaukee?
No, 43.
Oh, okay.
That's the one I drive every day.
So 41 is farther east than 43?
Farther west.
Farther west. So because it's five out in out west coast. And then they get high, and then it's 95 up the East Coast.
Yep.
That's right. That's the way it goes. Okay. Lake Winnebago. So you drive back and forth when you're going from Green Bay to Manitowoc? No.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. You're right. Green Bay, Wisconsin, home of that team that didn't make it to the Super Bowl.
Let's not start this again.
Well, at least now it's several months afterwards, so you've been able to recover. And then you lost.
I may never recover.
And then you lost another $20 to me during the Super Bowl.
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about me losing another $20.
I was really torn on that one because on the one hand, I'm a Patrick Mahomes fan, and I've become a sort of a Chiefs fan. But on the other hand, I thought, you got to give the guy credit, Tom Brady credit for, when he goes and makes his way back to the Super Bowl. So I was kind of torn.
They wheel him out onto the field in his chair, and he goes and he does a couple of things. That's it.
Yeah, a couple of laps.
Takes a couple of laps, and that's it.
Throws a couple of 3-yard passes.
Yep.
What locomotive are you operating today?
Grand Trunk Western 4632.
That one has made several appearances in Manitowoc off and on, has it not?
Well, we've had several different 4600s. This is the first time I've had this one, but it's the same as the rest. It's a good old-fashioned GP9R, and boy, I tell you what, EMD sure hit the nail on the head when they made those Jeep 9s. You just cannot kill those things.
No. How many horsepower are those?
1750.
And how many horsepower would be like a Jeep 38B?
2000.
So can you notice much of a difference?
Sometimes, yes. It depends. A lot of it depends on not to get too technical, but like a lot of it depends on the electronics, because the Dash 2 electronics are a modular system, and they basically kind of have like a magnetic relay that is a delayed reaction. So when you want to go from forward to backward, it isn't instantaneous like with a GP9. It's like right now it automatically just clicks right over. With the Dash 2 electronics, it actually has to go back, hit center, and then come back to the thing. So there's like about 8-second delay, sometimes even longer, depending on how old the relay is.
That would drive you nuts, wouldn't it, when you're trying to operate?
You don't know the half of it. I mean, sometimes my conductor will tell me to back up 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, dude, you can't hear the engines revving. I'm trying, and so sometimes it does create a little bit of an issue sometimes, especially when we're trying to do something, a little
finesse. With finesse.
Yeah, with finesse, especially if we're trying to make a difficult joint or something, and he needs me to, go forward, come back, go forward, come back. anytime I can get a straight DC locomotive, I'm all for it.
That would be a great discussion on Prototype Posse.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mark that down.
I'm marking it down. Let's see. Marking it down. Lionel's idea.
Yeah, lick the end of the pencil. Did you say 4602?
4632.
4632. I was trying to look for a photo of it on the Google. I was working the Google on the internet machine. Is it still painted in Grand Trunk colors?
Uh-huh. Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. It's kind of a sharp-looking engine, actually.
Yeah. I tell you what, Grand Trunk did a good job with those. They're a little difficult to model. I know fan and friend of the show, Luke Lemons, has attempted to make one. He got about 2/3 of the way done with it, and then I don't think he's ever done anything more with it. But it's the cab is a little different because it's not like a standard Spartan cab that, like a second generation EMD cab. It's like even wider than that, and then the nose has this goofy. I mean, you could almost slice bread with the tip of the nose. It's that pointed. They didn't.
Is it still painted blue and red with the GT on the side of it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, how long has it been since Grand Trunk went defunct?
They're not defunct.
They're not?
No, either is the Illinois Central or the Wisconsin Central or any of the predecessor railroads. We are all one big happy family.
Oh, okay. But they don't still paint locomotives in that paint scheme.
No, everything gets the CN treatment.
Right. So it must be kind of rare to find a Grand. I should get
my heritage unit.
Yeah, you should take a photo of it, man. All right, enough about.
I'll do that. I'll do that tomorrow.
All right. Because whenever I ask Serge to take a photo, he always takes a photo.
Oh, wow, that's Serge.
I found out today. I don't know if you found this out too, but the Teaspoon, the Boy Wonder, aka Four Banger, got a transfer to Toronto.
I just heard that.
I think that kid has horseshoes up his ass.
I tell you what, I
don't know how he managed to pull that off.
You know what? I don't even think we should ask. I don't want to jinx the guy.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's exactly.
I don't want to jinx him. But
yeah.
Hey, he is. He's living good right now.
Oh, is he ever? Holy man!
I would go buy a lottery ticket if I was that kid.
Yeah, me too. All right. So tonight we're going to talk to two fellas, Mark Herrick and Don Irace, and one lives in Northeast and Rhode Island or Connecticut or someplace where it's snowing like crazy right now. Even though this is probably late May or early June that we're listening to this right now, it's snowing like crazy in the Northeast. And yeah, and the other fellow lives in Sebastian, Florida, about an hour and a half from where I live in Florida. So I'm going to get him to buy me lunch one day.
Oh, that should be a no-brainer.
Yeah. So can you two guys come in from the green room, please, and we'll introduce you to the world.
How you doing?
Good. Who is that?
Don.
Hi, Don. How you doing, buddy? Am I pronouncing your name? Am I pronouncing your name correctly? Is it Don?
Yes, Don Irace.
Irace.
Yes.
Okay.
Wait a minute. He's not like related to the.
No.
No.
I get that all the time.
I mean, wasn't his name the same name? Don.
Yeah, but spelled different.
Oh, I was gonna say this is kind of weird. I thought you died like years ago already. You know who I'm talking about?
Yes.
No, I know I don't.
Don Irace was a noted radio talk show host.
Yeah, you mean Don Imus?
Imus.
Oh,
yeah,
give me a break.
Imus.
Don Imus.
Imus.
Not sorry. I'm sorry, Don.
I thought he was going to talk about the one-hit wonder, Donnie Irace.
And what song did he do?
Layla.
Oh, okay. You're not related to him, are you?
No, not at all.
You're not him, are you?
I am not.
But could you do a few bars of Layla for us?
Absolutely not. Nope.
And the other fellow we got here is Mark Herrick. Am I pronouncing that right? Is it Mark?
Yes, yeah, it's Mark. Yep, you got the last name right too.
Okay. Wow, look at me. And is it snowing there like crazy?
It is snowing like crazy. We probably got about 8 inches right now on the ground. They're looking at like 12 to 18 today.
Couldn't have happened to a nicer bunch of people.
Yeah. And how about you, Don? Is it snowing where you are?
It is not snowing, but it's going down to 38 degrees tonight.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
have
It's
you,
been cold. I don't think it got out. It didn't even get into the 60s today.
really?
Yeah,
Oh.
it's cold.
Oh no!
Are you you're at Sebastian's along the coast, right?
Right on the Treasure Coast, yes.
How did you manage to end up there? What was the determining factor that got you into Sebastian, Florida?
I got friends of ours that moved down here about 4 years ago, and we came down and stayed with them and visited, and we just kind of took to the city.
Okay.
And it's a nice city. It's nice people. It's very well run, and we found a nice house, and here we are.
Perfect. And I think it's colder on the coast. I always find like I'm not that far from Daytona Beach, so if I ride over there on my bike, and it'll be cooler over there, but by the time I get the 25, 30 miles back inland to my place, it's up another 5 degrees or something like that.
Yeah, I believe that. Well, today it's been really windy down here today too, so that it feels like it's about 4, 5 degrees colder than it actually is when you get out in the wind.
I hope you're still wearing your shorts though, like a true northerner.
I do.
Attaboy.
Shorts and no flip flops today. I had my sneakers on.
Okay, but you had your shorts on.
I did.
Attaman.
So where are you originally from? Because I can tell a bit of you just have this it's really faint accent of some sort. Like I'm going to say like Boston area.
Close, Situate, Rhode Island.
Isn't that where our buddy Wayne Mullahan's from?
Absolutely, same town.
Okay, do you know him?
I do. He was a part of my operating group when I had my layout in Situate.
Oh, really?
Yep.
What's he like in person? I've met him a couple
about the same.
Okay.
He's a good guy,
Yeah,
He's yeah.
Okay.
I like Wayne. Wayne's a good egg.
I do like Wayne. Wayne is a good guy. And Mark, where do you live exactly?
I'm in Windham, Connecticut, so that's Eastern Connecticut. So we're about an hour from east of Hartford, 45 minutes east of Hartford.
Okay, so do you know where Wethersfield is then, eh?
I do know Tom's Trains in Wethersfield. Yep.
Yeah, that's where Kaylee works on Saturdays, yep. And it's only recently that I've been able to figure out that it's Wethersfield. It's been about 5 years for me trying to figure it out.
No, you've done pretty good lately.
Yeah, you know who you got to hook up with is our buddy Chris Adams and go operate on his layout.
Yeah, I follow him on the AML stuff, and he looks like he's got a really nice layout over there.
Yeah. So, hey, Chris, when you're listening to this, figure out how to hook up with Mark Herrick, and off you go. I'm sure you guys are probably both on the fans page, aren't you?
We are.
Yes.
So there you go, Chris. You can find him there. How far would you be from Old Saybrook?
Old Saybrook's probably a half hour.
Oh, okay. So that's easy to do.
Absolutely.
Says model railroading is pretty robust in that whole. So how far then, when you were in Situate, how far were you, Don, from Mark?
About 40 minutes.
Okay. So model railroading is pretty robust in that whole area, eh?
It is.
Yeah, a lot of people around here. A lot of layouts.
Yeah, we had a good size op. I mean, my op sessions had 15 guys at it.
Really?
So, yep.
How big of a layout did you have?
It was 25 by 42 double decked.
Holy mackerel.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
That's almost the same size as yours, isn't it, Spoon?
Sure.
I don't think I formally introduced you guys. So tonight, this is episode number such and such. And I'm Lionel, the evil overlord. And this, of course, over here is Mike the Spoon Ostertag.
How you doing, Mike?
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Hey, Mike, how you been?
I've been well. I feel much better.
So
good.
I don't remember, Mark, how I found your layout. I saw it on the internet. Maybe it was on Fans or something.
Yeah, I did put something up on Fans, and that's how you got a hold of me.
Yeah, because I was getting confused because I saw Don's name up there on Fans a few times, and then he comment a couple of times, and then one day there was a picture of somehow you had a picture of your pickup truck in the driveway.
Yep.
And I went, nice pickup, and that's kind of a friendship was born.
Yes, absolutely.
What year is your truck?
That's a 2012, and it's got only 68,000 miles on it.
Really?
That's it.
Holy mackerel!
I'll have that truck for the rest of my life.
Sweet color too, red.
Yeah.
I want to get a new pickup truck, but I'm thinking I might wait. Toyota's redoing the motor, so I'm thinking I should wait the year or two until they do it.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, I think they're going to have a twin turbo V6.
Oh, really?
I mean, Toyota pickup trucks are awesome.
They are.
The only downside is gas mileage is not spectacular.
That's not that bad.
No,
And not only that, but for being a Toyota, you would and a Japanese manufacturer, you would think that they would design more like USB ports and things like that into their vehicles. They like those the new Tundra, I think, has only got like 2. It doesn't even have one in the back. So there's nothing in the back to plug in your phone to. It's crazy.
Well, you can plug it into the cigarette. You can plug one of them adapters in the cigarette lighter plug in the back. There's 2 of them.
Yeah, my Silverado's got 4 of them. So
do you have air conditioned seats in your Silverado?
I don't want to talk about that.
You don't need air conditioning in Wisconsin, do you?
Yeah. No, not necessarily in Wisconsin, but when it's 90 degrees in Rochelle, Illinois, and you're sitting behind a grill for 8 hours, I get a little damp.
Dude, you literally look like you'd had a shower.
Yeah, and you were nice enough to offer to let me actually come and shower in your room, and I was smart enough to say no, thank you.
And do you remember what I was thinking after I walked away from you?
I do. Thank God.
What was I thinking? So how did you 2 guys meet?
Oh, you want to tell them, Mark? You want me to tell them?
Yeah, no, we met at a Northeast Region NMRA convention down in Stamford, Connecticut. That was back in, I think, 2006.
That was a while ago.
Yeah.
Instant buddies.
Don was in the JMRI clinic given by Bob Jacobson, and I sat in that same clinic because I was thinking of JMRI for my layout, and I met Don there, and he told me he was from Rhode Island. I was like, wow, that's close, and we hooked up and went to his layout, and it's been a friendship ever since.
Yes, sir.
What year was that?
2006.
Okay. So that was even before you knew that he was getting a new pickup.
Yeah.
Way before that.
He had an old pickup then.
And a few pickups between then.
So what? You guys were there by yourselves each, or you guys just happened to sit beside each other, or what? Or did one of you stand up and go, hey, does anybody want to meet me, or what?
No, I think Don was just talking about his layout at the clinic, with Bob Jacobson. And I heard him say something about Rhode Island. So after the clinic, I went up to him and, questioned him a little bit. And, he told me, absolutely, stop over. He gave me the address, and I went over there. And when I saw that layout, I was like, wow, this is unbelievable. 2 decks. It was huge. I had a single deck layout at the time, and that completely changed me. I came home and basically tore my layout down.
Oh.
I hate when that happens.
I don't know. I think that happens a lot. Guys will be at a certain point in the hobby, and then they'll meet somebody else, which changes their perspective completely. And then they'll go and make major changes. Now, that's, of course, Spoon. That goes to my thing that I'm saying constantly is this hobby's going to explode, and we're all going to be covered in model railroad goo, because the only way before that Mark could see Don's layout is if he went over in person, primarily.
Right.
And now, go ahead.
It was funny because I never intended that layout to get that big. It was just me and my father when I first started it. And then, people found out about it. More guys started coming over. I had 3, I had 4, I had 5. I'm like, I gotta do something else here to make this thing bigger, to accommodate all these people. And that's what I ended up doing. I ended up putting a whole nother deck over the top of the whole thing. And then by the time I was done, I had 15 operators. $600 and moved the oil tanks outside underneath the deck, moved the washer and dryer out into the garage. It just happened. You just kind of look at your layout, and I lived in a raised ranch. So the first level is actually sitting on top of the concrete because, the raised ranches only have like a 4 or 5 foot foundation. So Underneath the main Worcester yard, I ended up putting Fresh Pond Yard, New York, underneath that section. And then it went out through the wall. And it stayed at that level around the bottom. Then it hit a 12-level helix in the next room. And that brought it all the way up to the highest level. And then he just built a layout over the top of the old layout. And then halfway through the layout in the main room, there was a 6-level helix that brought it down to the first level that existed before I put the double deck on. So it was, it worked out. And I actually ripped the whole center layout out. Well, I don't know, Mark, what was that, about 12 years ago? 10? I don't know. Time goes by so fast.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
10 years.
And I totally rebuilt the whole peninsula in the middle because I don't like the way it was handling the operators because everybody was in. I wasn't thinking about aisle space at the time. It was all about railroad. But when you start operating like that, aisle space becomes very important. So I ripped it out. I divided the aisles up into 3.5, almost 4-foot aisles, and then I rebuilt the whole middle section and operated on both sides of it instead of one side of it.
And do you have any photos on your Facebook page of the old layout, or is the old layout?
Nope. There's plenty of them on there. You got to scroll down by. If you look at my Facebook page, you'll see a bunch of my new layout down here. Once you get past all that, you're going to see a bunch of me doing all my locomotives. When I didn't have a layout, I did a lot of locomotive work. I was weathering cars. But when you get by all that, then you just start getting into my old layout. And there's a ton of pictures, videos. There's all kind of stuff in there to look at.
I got stopped at your truck again.
Oh, I know it does it to me too. Don't feel bad.
Oh, so you got
so if you ever get the Flavia, you'll get a ride in that truck.
There you go. So it says right on your truck. Did you just? Is that just a picture you made up, or is that actually?
We have a friend in a group. He's a funny man. He's really good with doing that kind of stuff.
Okay, all right.
So I posted that picture of just my truck because I just had them rims and tires put on.
Okay.
And then by the time I got the picture back, it had Providence and Worcester Model Railroad division on the doors, and it looks pretty sharp though. I tell you, if I could get away with it, I might even think about doing that.
Okay, here's a bunch of pictures. So wait a minute, what is this? September 22? No, are you building a 3-deck layout in the new one?
No, double deck in the new one.
Okay. Oh, that's a valance probably on top?
Yeah, it's a valance and a shelf on top to put stuff up there because there's not a lot of room. I went from a 25 by 40 foot layout to a 12 by 20 barn shed.
And how do you like that? Like, how is that? Are you finding that's enough room? Like, are you happy with what you're doing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, when I went and looked at the sheds, I looked at bigger sheds, and I'm like, you look at this big empty space, and then you start, now, when I built my first layout, Flex Track was like $2, $3 a section. Now Flex Track's like $5, $6 a section, so, and the turnouts are more. Everything's more. And the other thing, too, I didn't want to build another big layout because I wanted something I can almost finish in a year.
Right.
And get running and get operating. Because I operate down here. It's a little small group of 3 or 4 guys we operate every week. And they all have layouts, and we just bounce around. But they haven't got to mine yet because I'm not really ready to start operating yet.
Well, now, how did you find guys down in Sebastian, Florida?
It's not easy because none of the guys are from Sebastian, Florida. I noticed a lot of model railroaders down here. They're lone wolves, and they don't like to get out of their house. So these guys, they live up in Palm Bay, basically between me and you.
Yeah.
And closer to me than to you because it takes me about 40 minutes to get to their house. And I don't know if you know Vin Galackley?
I know the name.
All right, so he comes down here in the winter, and he lives in Fort Pierce. So he's about 40 minutes south of me. So when he was down here, I hooked up with him, and he hooked me up with these guys, and we started operating there. And then when he leaves in April to go home, then I just keep operating with these guys every week.
Wow,
so that's how I got hooked up. But they're far and few between. It's amazing to get 3 or 4. So basically, now we're operating with Vinny down here. There's 5 of us in the group.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing in Florida. It's not nearly as populated down there. There are guys out there, and actually the hobby's pretty robust in Florida. It's just there's not a ton of layouts. That's all. And,
Well, I mean, the guy, the building inspector that kept coming looking at my building every time I did something in there, he said there's a guy on this street that does trains. There's a guy on that street that's got a G-scale layout. He's got 2 buildings that goes in and everything. But these guys don't want nobody around. They just want to do their own thing.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So Palm Bay's like just up the road from Sebastian.
Yes.
And Dan.
So have you got any baseball caps left?
Me?
Yeah.
No, those are all going. No, I don't know. You know, son, I probably have one, maybe. I think. I'm not sure.
I just happened to see that, and I was like, "That's a cool look. That's a pretty sharp looking hat."
Yeah, I had a bunch of them made. Actually, when I first had them made, I gave them to all my operating crew for Christmas gift one year.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and then I had we had shirts and everything made for the guys when they come to the office. Everybody had their shirt with their name on it, and in order to have the order put in, I had you got to have so much stuff. So I ended up buying like 7 hats just to push the order over the top, and I ended up selling a bunch of them on my Facebook page. So
do you? I noticed one thing that scrolling through some of these pictures is especially the older stuff. There are a lot of freelance railroads represented on your railroad, like a lot. And so do you know a lot of people that do freelance railroading? And is it a thing where you kind of try to integrate that part of the hobby in with the prototype?
Yeah, I'm not a true prototype modeler. I mean, my locomotives are all Province of Worcester. I operate like Province of Worcester. Certain spots on my layout will be recognizable. Like if you see the header page on my railroad Facebook page, that was all built off GPS, Google Earth and GPS satellite stuff. Some of the I'm a big paper mill fan, and obviously the Province of Worcester doesn't have a paper mill on their layout, on their railroad. But I just got this fascination with paper mills, so I built that paper mill on that layout back in Rhode Island, and I'm actually duplicating that layout, that paper mill on my layout down here, just kind of condensed just a little bit because I don't have that kind of room.
So did that Alco switch engine survive the move?
That Alco switch engine was I bought that at a hobby shop in Scituate for $12.
Oh, holy cow! Really?
Yep, and that thing run perfect. It was it was on a rail power chassis. I was a rail power shell on an Atlas chassis is what it was, and I had that. I really didn't run it that much. I had it on the shelf behind the dispatcher, and there was a friend of mine, Mike DeBlois from Mass, and he follows PNW, and he is into that paint scheme, and he was forever trying to get me to sell that thing to him. And then finally after about a year, I sold it to him, so he has it now. I don't even have it anymore.
And I like the paper. I like your inland paper, the inland paper mill. That up here where I'm at, we have a ton of paper mills up here. I mean, they're all over. I mean, they're like they're like cows are up around here. I mean, turn a corner and there's a paper mill somewhere. But they are. That is a really, really sharp, well represented representation of what a mill would look like. It looks like it's nice and big and sprawling, and it's not. Looks like you have all the right parts in the right spots. And
yeah, I kind of designed it to do raw logs coming in right out to the finished product on the other end. So, so log cars come in on one end of that mill, and it cycles through the whole thing, and then comes out finished paper on the other end of the mill.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. I like that. That's good. Good call by you.
Thanks. That dedicated switcher in there too. Is that the alcohol you're looking at?
The red one with the black and white.
Oh, no, I still have that. That's going on my paper mill. I have another Alco was MRL 420, a Canadian cab locomotive.
Okay.
They had there. They only had 2 of them.
This is a 7056.
Yeah,
it says IP.
Yes, that's the S2. Yes.
Yep. That it is sharp. I like that. That was one of the first things that stood out.
That thing runs beautiful too. Perfect for a paper mill switcher.
Wow. So Mark, when you saw his layout, how big is your layout?
My layout's 20 by 24.
Okay, so you didn't. So when you first saw his layout, what was it about his that you wanted to go and rebuild yours for?
Well, I think it was just that second deck, and you just added so much more running room. You know what I mean? It was I modeled the BNSF, so we're looking for some a little bit of running room, and I didn't have that on the single level. Mine's around the wall with a center peninsula, and when I added that second deck, I just gained so much running room to get some decent length of trains and have a decent run. So his layout was just like, wow, this is what I should be doing. And so I came back and basically tore a whole bunch of stuff out and started rebuilding mine with that second deck. I put the helix outside the room. So the helix not even in the room. It's outside the room in another room. And it works out good. We got a group of about 6 guys that operate regularly here, and we have a good time. Don actually dispatches the layout from down there in Florida.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, through JMRI.
Okay, and do you do that regularly, Don?
When he has an op session.
Okay, cool.
This COVID thing is kind of threw a wrench into everything. So.
Yeah, I know, yeah. So, Mark, how did you end up modeling the, is it allowed for a guy from Connecticut to model the BNSF? Is that allowed, even allowed?
Yeah, I don't know if it's allowed. A lot of New Haven guys and Central Vermont guys and everything else around here. But no, in '76, I went out west and we ended up spending some time out there. And I sort of fell in love with Burlington Northern and the mountains of Montana. And it just transitioned as they, bought up other railroads and it became BNSF. That's what I went with. So I modeled the BNSF from Spokane, Washington to Shelby, Montana. Okay,
cool. And so how did I find your layout? It must have just been you posted a picture or something. How many?
Yeah. Do
you not have as many pictures on your Facebook page as Don does?
No, I don't have a lot of pictures. And I think what happened was I did post some on the ML fan page, and Don, I think, actually commented or something.
Right.
Posted on there of my layout.
It was a snow shed.
The snow shed, right. And it just sort of, I think that's what you picked up on.
Yeah, and then I was trying to figure it all out because of. And do you have a website or do you have a YouTube channel? Don't you, Mark?
No, I just have the Facebook page.
Oh, okay. Well, I saw a picture of you guys outside somewhere. I don't know, like during an operating session, and I was getting more and more confused because I knew Don was in Florida and yada yada yada, and I was getting more and more confused. I like
If you look at my Facebook page, there's a picture. One of the pictures of Mark at my layout here when he was down here in December.
Okay, maybe that's what it was. Anyways, yeah. Then I got talking to the two of you, and it turns out you guys knew each other, and blah 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 blah. And I thought, well, that's cool. So you need to take more pictures, Mark, of your layout.
Yeah, I do. It's a work in progress. I got about 20% of the scenery done, but. Yeah, I definitely have to get more pictures posted up. I just transitioned to that Facebook page. I was at a different Facebook page, and it was a group instead of an actual page. And so I've transitioned to that page now, and I'm going to keep trying to get more and more stuff up there.
The pictures of that bridge construction are fantastic, though. I'm looking at that a photo of like 4 covered hoppers coming over the top of that bridge that's in those photos. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And the way that photo backdrop, it looks almost as if you have like you layered the photo backdrops to make it look like there's depth there, even though it's flat against the wall. Is that what you actually did? Because the mountains in the very far background look real hazy, almost as if they're like 10 miles away.
Yeah,
and then the foreground's really clear.
Yeah. So what it is there was a lower level of backdrop photos. That's a lot of the trees and everything. Those are clear. And then I made the next level of backdrop photos, the higher ones, like hazy mountains, to try to give some depth, some perspective of depth there. Which is
and then you blended the rest of your scenery underneath the bridge and stuff into the rest of the photo backdrop. It's just,
I know, it's spectacular.
Job well done.
Yeah, no, that was really one of my first big areas to do some scenery on, and I really never did water or anything, so that was one of the first ones. And yeah, I was happy with the way that came out. That's supposed to represent Two Medicine Bridge, which is in Glacier Park up in Montana.
Do you think you could help?
So are you going to have? Oh, I'm sorry, Lionel.
I was just going to say, do you think you could help Chris Adams with his scenery?
He's doing a good job. I'll tell you, those backdrop photos he just posted with the road going into the backdrop.
I know.
Those are awesome. He's doing a really good job.
Are you actually gonna model the avalanche over the snow shed?
Well, I just the snow shed, that roof has some of that stone and stuff on it, but I wasn't going to do anything with an avalanche over it.
Because that photo is amazing that you posted. That's on your page with that. I'm assuming that's what happened, is an avalanche over the top of the snow shed, right?
Yeah. That was like last year too, and that was pretty amazing. You really see what the snow sheds were all about, what they're actually designed for, and when they can take that kind of snow load and still survive.
Yeah. So you model like today, or like present day. Yeah.
Yeah, as close to present day as possible. It's reasonable.
So we've stumbled onto guys that just seem to have this insistence on building second decks onto their on their layouts. It's like, what the heck is wrong with you guys? That just seems to me like a massive job trying to build a second deck over top of an existing layout. Like Mark, how hard was it? Like, were you just cursing Don the whole time after you saw his layout?
Yeah, there were moments. I definitely did that. I know my wife came out there a few times and said, "What the hell are you doing?" Because the layout was in pretty good shape, prior to that, and it was like, "What are you trying to accomplish here?" And it was a lot of work. It's a lot of work trying, especially with the peninsula, because it has to be self-supporting there. So there's no wall there, you know what I mean? So I had to almost make a wall out of self-supporting 2x4s to support that second deck, because I didn't really want any kind of structure going down to that first deck. I wanted it to be free-floating, and that part was hard. But it does add so much to the layout. You just get, I had that perception in my mind that when you're operating on a layout and it's two decks, that it would be distracting to have that second deck and the first deck, you'd be like distracted by that in your face. But I think when you operate, you're just so focused on your train and the scenery your train's going through. You really don't notice that other deck, even at any point in time while you're operating. And, that was my big concern about the two deck. And when I operated at Don's, I just saw that doesn't really, happen, because you just, you're into the scene, you're into what's going on right there,
Right. So Don, when you moved the washing machines on your first layout out into the garage, was that with your current wife?
Yes.
Did she ever?
I got divorced. The first wife got divorced, and I didn't have I had a small layout in the back room.
Oh, okay.
And then when I divorced her, she went out, and all the furniture downstairs went out behind her. And then a lumber company come in and dropped a bunch of wood off the next day, and it started. But my new wife, now of 25 years, she it's me. She knows what I do. She knows what I love.
Yeah.
She's supportive. And she drove her crazy that I had the whole. I mean, she used to have a little room down in the back to do her little arts and crafts, and I had to take the space away from her.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Yeah, luckily the kids are all grown up and moved out. I said you can, because she does stained glass, so she's got so we made a studio for her in the house in Rhode Island, and a spare room, and we moved down here. She got one of the rooms, and that's where she is now, doing her craft.
Okay.
My grandma used to do stained glass, and boy, that is no joke. That is you really have to be careful with what you're doing, and you have to know what you're doing too. I mean, that's a whole art form in itself.
She does some beautiful work, I'll tell you. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
she's like the Edward Scissorhands of stained glass. That's what I tell her.
What's her name?
Donna.
Hey Donna, how you doing?
Oh, she can't hear you. I got my headphones on.
I know. Is she not gonna listen to this?
She will. Oh, okay. I get you now.
Oh, man.
I think you could have done better than this, Donna.
Here we go.
Wow. Yeah, there's still time.
Yeah, there's still time.
She does good. She's good at her craft, that's for sure.
Mark, what's your wife's name?
Susan.
Susan. Hey, Susan. Do you think she'll listen?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Attaboy.
Yeah, she's probably not as mad as Donna is right now, but anyway.
Probably not.
So, okay, Mark, when you been a lifelong model railroader, or what's the deal?
Yeah, probably when I was like 8 or 9 years old, my parents got me the train set, and it sort of started things, that lasted for a little while. And I think I sort of fell out of it, of course, when you're looking at girls and everything
cars,
else.
yeah.
Girls and cars and sports and everything else. And then I got back into it. Basically, I went to a hockey game up at the Hartford Civic Center to see the Whalers. And they had a hobby shop. They had like a small shopping area in the mall type area up there. And I went in there and I saw a Railroad Model Craftsman magazine on the shelf. And I was like, wow, they actually make magazines about this stuff. And I bought the magazine, took it home, and there was really no turning back after that. That really that changed everything.
And what year would that have been?
That was probably 1978.
Okay. So that's probably before Ron Francis, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. I don't think Ron Francis was playing for them then.
No, I don't think so. I retired from the NHL today. I've been today was my official retirement because it's been almost 50 years, and I never got a call or nothing from not one single team ever contacted me in those years. So I decided I've had it. I'm not even, if they call me now, I'm not going. and then you think about it, the Leafs haven't won a Stanley Cup in over 50 years. So coincidence? I think not.
Well, you may be onto something.
Exactly. Okay, so what was your first? How many layouts have you built, Mark? Like, are you in the? Is the house you in now? How long have you been in that house? Like, when did you build your first layout? Like, what was your progression through the hobby after you bought the magazine? Did you get involved with a club or something, or?
Yeah, I got involved with a club out in Manchester. It was called the Silk City Model Railroad Club. And I got involved with them for probably 5 or 6 years. And then I had built a small 4x8 layout that I ran trains on for a while. And then I basically built this layout in the 20x24 barn that I have on the property here. I've lived in this house my whole life. I bought this place from my parents, so I've never left home.
Wow. How old are you now?
I'm 57.
Wow. Have you seen a doctor? No, I'm just kidding. So you've been in the same house 57 years.
Yes, sir.
Wow, that's cool. That is cool. So what's it like? I've often wondered. So you two guys are perfect. Oh, Don, this is going to be a perfect question for you, but I'm going to ask Mark first. So I've often wondered, I never thought I would be able to keep my enthusiasm up working in a separate building from the house. Like, my layout was in the basement, and I had a designated area for it in the basement, and I never thought I'd be able to keep my motivation up having it outside of the house. Has that ever been a problem for you?
Yeah, it's definitely, the basement's nice because you can just, you're sitting around at night, you can just walk down there at any point in time. You wake up in the middle of the night, you just walk down to the basement. But I live in a house that was built in 1798, and the basement is definitely not, layout compatible. So the only option I had was to build it out in that barn. So it is sort of especially a night like tonight, the last thing you really want to do is go out in 8 inches of snow and, walk out to the barn. But, it's definitely not as comfortable, so to speak, but I have, air conditioning, heat out there, everything. The building, the room is completely, creature comforts, but
sure.
It's definitely harder.
Right. But do you probably have a workshop or a workspace inside the house for building on models and stuff?
Yeah, I do. I made myself a small workbench in the workroom in an old office my wife used to use, and that works out great. So it gives me a place to do it in the house,
All right. And what about you, Don? Now you've gone from having it in your basement to going to a building outside the house. What's that been like for you?
It's pretty much the same thing. I don't have far to walk, and I most certainly don't have snow to walk in, and I don't have cold to walk in. But it's the convenience of being in the basement. Always was the best way for me, because I just go down there and go up and down the stairs all I wanted. Like now, if I'm out there and I have to use the restroom, I got to come in the house, and it is what it is. But we don't have basements in Florida, so we have to get used to our environment.
There's a guy in my subdivision, over where we are. It's a little bit hilly for where we are, and there's a guy. When I go for a walk, I go down quite a few streets, and then I turn right and I go up, and the road goes up about, I don't know, 20 or 30 feet. And there's a guy with a corner lot that has a walkout basement. So it's basically a ranch bungalow in Florida, and they've built it with a walkout basement. And I'm thinking to myself, that guy's got to live. That house is worth $1 bazillion to a model railroader. Like, it's got to be one of the few guys in all of Florida with like a basement-like setup. It's perfect. And every time I walk by that house, I'm like, I keep thinking I'm going to just go knock on the door and say, "Hey, buddy, you want to move out?" Or so both of you guys have built helixes. I want to talk about that because I've been talking to our buddy Ron Marsh of Ron's Trains and Things. Hey, Ron, how you doing?
Hi, I'm Ron of Ron's Trains and Things, and if you'd like to see more model railroad tips, tools, and techniques, then be sure and subscribe down below and click that little bell icon so you can catch future videos.
And he's been building a new helix, and I see both you guys use that rod system. Like on your new one, Don, I see you're using that rod system.
Yes.
Is it hard to build it? Like, you guys sound like you're helix building fools because you both build a couple of them.
No, it's going to get put together in sections anyway. So as you're going around with the loops, you just add the rods in as you're going along, So you just build it layer by layer by layer by layer till you get up to where you want to be. The nice thing I like about the rods is the adjustment factor in the grades. You're able to you tweak it to whatever whatever you need. Like on mine, and halfway up I kind of leveled it out a little bit, so in case there's any kind of runaway, it won't run all the way down the helix. The train will actually kind of neutralize halfway down the helix. But if you do with wood or little brackets, you lose all that adjustment feature. You just can't adjust it at all.
Yeah. So do you build build the first level and stick the rods on and kind of keep adding levels, like drill a hole and do you have a pattern you follow or something?
No, I just laid out the rods, where I want them, every so many inches all the way around, so many feet around on mine. And I start at the bottom and I drill my holes in the first level. Then I push the rods right up through. And as I come along with the next level, I bring the rods up, straighten them out as best I can, and drill another hole and push it up through that level. Put the washers underneath it to support the next level. Then add the next piece on. So my helix is built in each loop is in 4 different sections. So I cut out 4 pieces to make a complete loop, and then I built it together like a little puzzle. And I just put the rods in, drill the holes, bring it up. And it took me about, I think it took me about 4 or 5 days to finish that thing from start to finish.
Yeah, you seem like you're going like a one-arm page. Mark, is he a fast builder? He seems like he's a fast builder.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. I mean, he gets going on something, and it's like a house of fire. He just takes right off. It's unbelievable how much he gets done in such a short time, compared to what I do.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying, eh?
It is, yeah.
Tired life.
Yeah, but you must have been probably a house of fire before, too, then, if you built the 24 by 42 layout and moved your wife's washer and dryer out to the garage. Man, that's like the bravest thing I've ever heard.
Yep. Yeah, well, you know what it is? What happened with that, most of the reason why that went out there is because she wanted me to put a bathroom in downstairs.
Oh, okay.
I see. So you got 15 guys over there. Somebody's bound to want to use the bathroom.
Right, yeah, exactly.
But they'd have to walk all the way up the stairs and all the way down to the other end of the house, right to her personal space. And I get it. I had no problem with it. So let's put the washer and dryer out in the garage, and we built the bathroom down there, and everything was golden.
So what did you do you're retired now, Don. What did you do for a living?
I was in the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers for 42 years, Local 99 in Providence, Rhode Island.
There you go. Union guy, Spoon.
Amen, brother.
Hey.
And what about you, Mark? What do you do?
I work for the State Department of Transportation in Connecticut for 36 years. I retired 2 years ago from that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Have you been able to get more done on the layout now that you're retired?
Yeah, well, I got quite a bit done when I first retired, and then the pandemic hit and things changed a little bit. So I ended up going back part-time at a fire alarm company. I'm a volunteer deputy fire chief in a volunteer fire department here in Windham, and so I have some background in that. And a friend of mine owns a fire alarm company, so I went to work for him part-time 3 days a week. So
okay.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Do you like that? Do you like working part-time even though you're retired?
Yeah, I don't mind it. It's like 3 days, usually Tuesday through Thursday. So I get a 4-day weekend every week and get a little more pocket money and whatever. It's good.
So what's it like being the deputy fire chief?
That keeps me busy. We small town really, but it's definitely almost a full-time job doing that.
Yeah, how come? Like what's just is there paperwork or what is it that keeps you busy?
Well, it's just the call volume. We go to being even a volunteer department, we go to probably about 800 calls a year.
Wow.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Oh, yeah.
That's like 2 a day.
Yeah, we run
over 2 a day.
It's over 2 a day. That's not a volunteer. That's like get out here and hang.
Yeah, it's busy, and training every week. I'm the training officer, so we do a lot of training. And right now it's hard because of the COVID. Everything's online, and trying to do Zoom training and everything. So trying to come up with good training programs for the guys has been pretty difficult lately. But it's a busy environment, no question.
Mark, move your microphone down just a little bit from your nose. one quarter of an inch. Because once we hear you breathing, either that or stop breathing. Those are your two choices.
Yeah, that would be a call for the volunteer fire department.
There you go. Exactly. So you must have been with the department for a long time then.
Yeah, I've been in the fire department 42 years.
Holy mackerel! So
wow.
Geez, Willikers.
Yeah, I was fire chief for 11. I got out for a couple of years, took a break, and then sort of got begged to come back and help them out, and sort of got arm twisted back into getting in as an officer, and I've been deputy chief now for probably about 13, 14 years.
Wow.
This Lionel, doesn't this sound oddly familiar?
Yeah. Well, I was just about to ask a question that I think you'll appreciate, Spoon. So Mark, you listen to the podcast fairly regularly, eh?
Yes.
You're familiar with Kelly?
Yes.
He's a former firefighter.
Yeah, I believe in Connecticut, right?
Right, yeah, and Westchester. What do you think's wrong with him?
Doesn't know when to say no, like me.
We love Kelly.
I have a couple of questions.
Absolutely. I got a great. Then I'm going to go to a question. You go with your two, and then I'm going to go with mine.
All right, Mark. I'll start with you. It's the same question is going to be for both of you. Do you ever get an opportunity to get out to rail fan what you're actually modeling?
I do. Yeah, I do. I have a daughter actually that lives in Bozeman, Montana. My daughter Julie, and so I do get out there. Not every year, but almost every other year to visit her, and I try to take a run on the line along what I model. So that's where a lot of those backdrop photos actually came from that you talked about by the bridge and stuff. Those are actually my photos.
So did you you took the photos yourself?
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, that's very cool. What
about you, Don? Did you get out? Did you get out?
It's kind of hard.
Well, yeah, but before.
Oh yeah, before I did. Oh yeah, no. In my job, I was a foreman of my own crew, so I took care of getting them guys all straightened out, and then I would run around between the jobs and I'd be right next to the railroad tracks for coffee, for lunch. I get down there quite often.
So when did you start? Have you been a lifelong model railroader too, Don?
I have. I started when I was 5 or 6 years. Actually, I started when I was 5 years old. My father had a rubber band driven Pensy passenger train with 36 inches of track. And I'd sit there and I'd watch that train go around for hours and hours and hours. And then slowly, when I burnt that up, my father built me a big bench in the basement, and we transferred me over to Lionel 3 rail. And I had toys, trains, with what they were then to me. And I just had like 3 loops, and I just ran trains around, and decorated for Christmas and all that stuff. And I've been a hard knocks model railroader my whole life.
This is a great question to ask both these guys, Spoon. You've heard me say, like, what do you guys think it is? Mark, what do you think it is about the hobby that, because I mean, it seems like you guys are, it's the friendships are great and the community's great, which I think is a big part of the AML nation. But like, what do you think it is, Mark, about the hobby that draws people to it? And once they get in, they stay. Like, rarely do people get out of the hobby.
Well, I think it's just the camaraderie of the guys. Once you meet people and just the friendships you build, I think it keeps people in it. Like I know my friendship with Don and the guys that we operated with around here. There's just so much involvement with each other's layouts, helping each other and everything. I think it just keeps you going. You don't really. I think even if you don't even have a layout, there's ways to participate with each other and help each other out. It's just that kind of hobby that just draws you in. Like for myself, I think the artistic part of it and also the hands-on part of it. The carpentry, the electrical. It just takes all these different skills to build a layout and to operate it. It's just a lot of fun, and I just think that people are always looking for something, to have a good time with, and the hobby's great.
Okay, so let's not pass. I want to ask you 2 questions about 2 of your photos, Mark. So let's not get. And there's one photo I'm dying to ask you a question about, Don, about on your page. So I'm going to go first. I want to ask you about all that Are you an electronics kind of guy, Mark? Because man, that the picture of your NCE setup is like, holy mackerel! How many boosters you got there? that's like what in the world?
Yeah, there's a little bit of stuff there. I have 2 command stations. One command station drives the signal system and is connected to the computer for JMRI CATS, which is the dispatcher panel. And then the second command station actually runs the trains. So there's 2 boosters for the top and there's 2 boosters for the bottom. And then there's breakers. There's 4 breakers on each level also.
So you got 4 boosters for the whole layout?
Yeah.
Okay. And because my layout was 20 by 30 and I had 2 boosters. I had it just cut in half and I had 1 booster for each side. And then you got the breakers, the 4. How many breakers did you say you had?
There's 4 for each level.
This seems like an awful lot of wires there, man.
Yeah, there's quite a bit there. There's a lot going on there.
So do you understand electronics? Is that kind of part of the hobby you like, or?
I understand it. I mean, it's definitely not my strong point, but I do understand it enough to get it to run good and everything. And then
if only you knew somebody that could possibly understand and help you with electronics that did it for a living, that really, I know they're hard to find. They are difficult to they're very hard to find, and most of them don't want to talk to anybody. So I mean, that's they're antisocial and whatever. So I mean, it's if only you knew somebody. Maybe they could help you understand electronics better.
So is there any of your hand in this, Don?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, he really didn't have a lot done when we met, because after he went to my house and he operated my layout, then he started talking about double deck and his layout, and I'm like, yeah, no problem, we can do that. And so I went to his house. We looked, see what he's going to do. He pretty much knew what he was going to do anyway. The big thing was where the helix was going to go, and I don't know how we talked about putting it in the back room, and I don't know if it was you or me said, why don't we just put it out there outside where the stairs are? There's plenty of room there, and he's got a nice big helix there too, because he needs it, because he pulls these big long trains, and you got to have a big radius helix for doing what he does.
Yeah.
Oh, how big is your barn there, Mark?
The barn is the room is 20 by 24, but the barn is probably 20 by 36.
Okay. So you got a bit of extra room there for other stuff.
Yeah. So when you come up the stairs to the second floor where the layout is, the helix is on the left-hand side, and then it goes into the layout room through 2 small doors. I have doors on each level to bring it into the actual room.
So the layout is on the second level. So you hauled all the lumber and everything up there.
Yep, everything was hauled up the stairs.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So what did you think, Don, the first time you went?
It's a lot of work. A lot of work. I mean, his first level was coming out good. I mean, he had everything good with the BNSF. Actually, is with wide sweeping curves, and he didn't take any shortcuts on any of the radius work. But he, with the second level, just built it right over the first level. Like I said, it was challenging for him to do the center peninsula because he didn't want to, none of us, and I don't like it either, when a lot of people, especially down here, they build a second deck on their layout, and they got 2x3s holding it up on the outside, and it's appearance wise, it doesn't look good. You know what I mean? So he did it right. And as far as electronics and everything goes, I mean, he's got all the detection, and we set up for the dispatching, and we had to run all the Cat 5 cable for all the block detection and the AIUs because we run NCE. And so I helped him with all that stuff. I went there. I mean, a bunch of us went to his house on a Saturday for a tree building session. We built trees, and we had a barbecue, and had beer and hamburgers and all that stuff. We had a good time.
I think that's the picture I saw.
That could be, yeah.
Maybe.
I think that's the picture I saw, yeah.
In the gazebo?
Yeah, I think so. Or there was something.
That was it.
It was in the summer and all that, too. Yeah.
Yes, it was hot.
Well, it's a good thing you didn't have a spoon there, or else you would have been sweating all over the tree. Do you have air?
I would have shorted everything out.
Yeah. Do you have air-conditioned seats in your truck, Don?
No.
Oh, okay. There you go.
No, I don't need air conditioning seats. I got cloth seats.
Okay.
I don't have leather seats.
All right.
I don't like leather seats.
All right. Okay. So the next question. So you guys went in NCE. Any particular reason why you chose NCE? That's my particular brand. But why did you guys choose NCE?
Because it's the best.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, the problem down here is these guys are all Digitrax users down here, and they swear by them. They have the same trouble every week after week after week after week. They lock up, it don't run, the whole layout shuts down. And we never had that problem. Never. I mean, but these guys don't run Consist locomotives anyway down here. They just put single engines, and they have a switcher on every siding. So when you bring a train around, you dump your cars out on the main. You use the switcher to do the switching with. So I operate with them. So I made friends with them. I operate with them. We have fun. I'm not really thrilled about their operating scenario, but it's not me. But it's their layout, and I just play by the rules.
Well, hopefully they don't listen to this.
Well, no, they don't. They won't.
Oh, great.
No,
it's a different breed of cat in Florida, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I mean,
yes.
there are some great layouts down there. They are few and far between, but it's there's a lot of great people. Jeff Coleman, a lot of great folks. There's a good club over. I met Jeff Coleman, and he belongs to a great layout over there. Jeff, what is the name of that layout? Remind me. But it's a different breed of cat in Florida.
Yeah, there's another guy that's up near you over there too. What's his name? Last name's Farnham. I can't think of his first name. His wife is actually the president of the division.
Oh, really?
Over here. Yeah. Is it Bob Farnham?
I don't know.
Bob, Ron, something. I operated at his layout once. He's got quite a setup over there. He's got 2 sheds the size of mine.
Oh, yeah.
2 sheds, and he's got a 4-inch PVC pipe on a wooden bracket that runs from one shed to the other, and there's 2 tracks inside that pipe. And he does the FEC, and in the first shed, the dispatcher's in there, and they've got Jacksonville yard and Miami yard on the front, Jacksonville on the back. And the trains all come out of them yards. They go through the tube into the other shed where you do all your switching, double-decker layout and everything. And it was fun. And he likes paperwork. He makes everybody do, Form Ds and all this stuff. And, some people like that. Some people don't like that.
I don't like paperwork.
No, I don't either.
But my buddy Chris Adams, he likes paperwork, and I know when I operate on, I've never seen trains run on his layout though, but I know when I get to go for an operating session there, I'll have fun regardless. So the other question I want to ask you, Mark, and I'm sure both you guys are going to be able to talk to me about this one, is this picture of the dispatchers panel.
Yes,
that's pretty slick.
Yeah, that's a JMRI CATS. The system is called CATS, so it's like a side software for the JMRI program. And I found it online. John Parker has it. There's a couple other guys that have that CATS system, and I basically downloaded the software and built the panel in a designer program they have. And since then, I just actually went to Florida. I don't know how long ago, Don, was I down there? But
First week of December.
Yeah, I built Don a CATS panel for his layout. I built another one for a guy up the street here in Canterbury, Connecticut. And they're slick. They work really well. Modern type of panel. They do all the tracking as far as the trains. You can track the actual train movement. All the occupancy, the signals, everything. It's nice.
Don, move your microphone out just a little bit too from your nose, please, and thank you.
Okay.
Dave Abeleys uses this CATS, and Jerry Britton uses this CATS, and I think there's like a Facebook discussion group about CATS. Jerry Britton, you can comment on this, buddy, when you hear it. This is slick. This is really slick. So this is what you're operating off. Is it, Don, when you're dispatching the layout?
Right. Yes. I connected his computer at his layout to VNC, and I could take control of his computer. And basically, I see what he sees on my computer down here in Sebastian, Florida. And I basically operating on the same setup I'm talking to you on right now.
Okay. What's VNC?
Was it virtual network control?
Okay.
And it's just free software. It doesn't cost anything. You just download it. And actually, when my layout's done, Mark will be dispatching my layout from his house in Connecticut.
Right. And did you know he was coming in December, or did he just throw up at the door?
No, Mark is always welcome, him and his wife, down here anytime they want. And Mark has his own room.
Wow.
Call it Mark's room.
Mark has his own room.
I got to say, when I moved down here, the day we drove down with our cars and everything, Mark was so kind to get in the truck with me and drove all the way to Florida with me and my wife. We took turns driving the moving truck. Well, not moving. We just had a small little Penske truck for some stuff that we needed right away. And he stayed down here for a whole week, helped me unload, helped me unpack the pods, helped me hang stuff in my house. He was a huge help. I can't thank him enough for what he did.
Way to go, Mark.
Yep.
Did he?
Glad I could help.
Did he supply you with all the beer you needed?
Oh yeah,
we did all right.
Yeah. Well, I can't complain there.
Yeah. So the only thing it was hot, and he didn't like that.
August is not fun in Florida.
It all depends on how you look at it. I try to go to my house. Well, there's a guy I play, not right now, of course. Nobody's doing anything right now. But a buddy of mine I've had my house down there for 10, 11 years. And there's a buddy of mine that has a monthly poker tournament. So I try to go pretty much every month, at least for a few days. And one day, my favorites, one day I was out riding my bike one night. It was beautiful. It was August. You're right. It is hot. It was July or August. And I went out for a ride around 8 o'clock and I ended up in Miami. I mean, it was just, it's just so nice to be out there.
It is.
Yeah, it can't, but it is hot. But
it's hot.
But it's better than 18 inches of snow.
Yes, it is. And that was before I had my pool put in, too. So
you got a pool put in, too.
We have a pool. Yeah, we put a pool in. As soon as we got down here and we got everything all set up and everything, we had his company come in and put a pool in.
Cool. I guess we know where the next AML barbecue is going to be, eh, Spoon?
Fine by me.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
You know what? You might not want to come down here in August, though. It'd be a good one for late January or February.
Have you been over
We'll go to Springfield and then circle back down around Florida and then head back up north.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Have you been over to? There's a really cool platform I think it's in Lakeland. There's a place over there. I think in Lakeland they have a really cool rail observation platform. One day you should make a trip over there.
Yeah, I should. I only live like a mile from the FEC main line.
Oh no, FEC main line's cool.
Yeah, they go. I mean, they don't. It's tough down here with them because they don't really operate much during the day. They start like around 4 o'clock in the afternoon and they go through the night. Then the last train I think goes through about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning because they're double. They're double tracking FEC for the Brightline trains. I don't know if you knew about that.
Yeah. How far north are they doing that?
Oh, they're going all the way down to, I think, it's supposed to, I don't think they're going all the way. I think it's Boca is where it ends because they already got it double tracked from Miami to Boca, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So they're going all the way from here to Disney.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
They built a Sunrail They built a Sunrail commuter train that comes near my house. There's the CSX main where the auto train goes right by my bike path.
I've been on that train
And
a few times.
I waved to Bob Frischella. Well, if you've been on the auto train, then you've been within a half a mile of my place.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. So, Mark, are you the cats guy? Like, are you the computer guy of this dynamic duo of the two of you?
Well, yeah, I'd say
yes.
When it comes to cats,
just say yes.
I know cats pretty well. I've designed quite a few panels, so I'm pretty familiar with that. And you talked about Jerry Britton. He's been actually hosting a thing about cats. There's been like I don't know, 6 or 8 part series he's been doing on like a Facebook or Zoom meeting, which has been really well attended. So yeah, it's sort of a specialty of mine. I like building them. They're fun to build. Don's was a little bit challenging, but we got it done. And hopefully, when he gets his signals in, we can get all those operating too.
I think Joe's a little more challenging than mine.
Yeah, when you have like a switchback, when they come back on themselves, some guys have layouts where they go through the same scene almost twice. They come along the wall and then they come along the aisle. It's a little difficult to build a nice, linear type of control panel.
So I've got a question then along the computer line then. I noticed, Don, that on your one webpage that you're using Ship It from Albion Software.
Correct.
Are you still using the cart? Now, did you set up your and Mark, I got a similar question for you. Did you set up the entire operating system in Ship It before you started printing the car cards or the waybills? And do you use that to generate the traffic on the layout?
I do not use it to generate. When I first started using Ship It on my layout in Rhode Island, I think my layout kind of overwhelmed the program because I had to go back and forth with the owner of Ship It, and I ended up sending him my all my stuff on my layout, all the information, everything, and it could not get it to work right.
I've used it many, many times on a lot of smaller layouts and stuff. And the thing that I always notice is that you have to trick the program to get it to do what you want it to do.
Yeah.
Like you can't just give it a direction and expect it to do this. You have to almost literally tell it. It's a good program once everything is all set up.
Right.
But getting it to functionally, to get it to be, it's kind of difficult. There's like a huge learning curve with it. If at least that's been my experience with it, is it's good for inventory, and if you want to do manual car cards and stuff like that, it's awesome for doing that. But if you wanted to try to generate everything, it has like some hangups that you kind of got to work around,
Yeah.
So.
I set it all up. It's very informational intense. It needs a lot of information. And if you miss one or two little things, it'll mess it all up. So when I first started using it, you would generate a good switch list, and then the next time you generate a switch list, it get a little less, and then it get a little less, and then less, and it got to the point where you wouldn't do nothing.
Yep.
So at that point, I talked to Bob, and is that his name? I think his name's Bob.
I don't know. I never talked to the guy.
I sent him all the information and everything, and he said, I can't. I don't know. He said, I can't get it to work. I said, that's fine. You know why? Because I would much prefer control the movement of the cars myself, because I have a certain operating session and scenario that I want to happen. So I find it much more easier for me to say, okay, that car's getting pulled, that car's getting spotted, this is going here, that's going there, and that's how I do it, and I still do it on this layout down here the same way.
Yeah, it's a cool program, but I've kind of steered away from it a little bit. But I'm going to try to dive back into it just to play around, I think. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but Mark, same kind of question for you is, are you using any kind of computer generated car forwarding system on your layout, or will you be using it? I mean, with having the cats on there you said that was like a thing from JMRI. Are you planning on using a JMRI, the operating system from JMRI to help like generate traffic, or how do you plan on setting up the operating portion of the layout?
No, I use manual car cards right now, a 4-cycle car card, and That's all I'm using right now. I've looked at a few of the things because CATS actually has a program called Train Stat, and they've got a couple of operating things built into CATS even that you can, maybe down the road I'll look at something like that. But the waybills, the manual waybills, they work fine right now. Got about 380 something cars in the layout. So, it works well. I mean, I can't complain about it. Those 4-cycle waybills, it works all right.
So do you like have a lot, like, do you use stuff like for like a unit train type of waybill then, or like do you have certain trains that are okay, like your locals, or or whatever they call them on the BNSF, like your locals and stuff? Obviously you're going to want the 4-cycle to go through, but like point A to point B trains, things that are going from one end of the system to the other and they're not doing any work, do those still get a 4-cycle waybill on each car, or do you just have like a point A, like a what would that be called?
Packet.
I use more of like a train car.
Yeah, like a packet type of thing.
So what I do for the because what I do is I run my through trains from Shelby staging to Spokane staging, and they just run right through the layout. There's no stops. It's like an auto racks or the container trains or whatever like that. Those trains just have like a train card that I made in the waybill program, and it just names all the cars that are on that train. It gives all the numbers, and then it just says it goes from Shelby staging to Spokane staging, and that's it. But for the locals, you'd get like a packet with all your cars and the destinations and what's coming in and out.
Yeah.
When you get there, the 3-pocket system on the fascia.
Do any of the through train cars ever get cycled through to the locals at any one point, like over the course of time, or are the cars? Because like I know on Luke Lemon's layout and like Mike Wachowski's layout, which are two layouts that I operate on a regular basis. Mike Wachowski's is a little different because his is mostly coal trains. He only has a handful of manifest freight, either coal trains or stack trains. But Luke has got like a lot of cars that are like mixed, for a lot of trains that are mixed freight. So when his car cards get to one end of the system, you flip the car cards and they might end up being a Stevens Point when they get there, which is one end of his system. But then that Stevens Point might turn into a car for Manitowoc, which has to get set out at one point along the route on the next session that train runs. So do you do that to like keep a constant flow of things with your cars, or?
No, so most of my all my through trains basically are unit trains. So they're stacks, or they're oil tanks, or they're grain trains, or coal trains, or whatever. So none of those cars basically they're captive sort of to that service, and they never really get mixed into anything else. But I do have like interchange trains which run, basically from Spokane Yard. They'll run all the way over to Whitefish Yard and swap cars between the yards, and then those individual yards build the locals for the next operating session. But there's really nothing that runs the whole layout with mixed freight.
So you're doing it really, really almost as close to the vest as like the BNSF is actually running their system as you possibly can then.
Yeah,
right.
That's what I'm trying for.
Yeah, and then Don, you're doing something similar to it because you have a lot more local work on your layout, though, right?
Right. Yeah. The only two trains. Well, on my last layout, I had an ethanol unit train. I had ethanol coal trains, unit coal trains, unit stone trains, and so they stayed together. They had basically an engine card and a train device card, and just as one thing for the whole train. All my switching jobs all had they just come out of all the different yards. We did have an interchange train that ran out of Fresh Pond to Worcester, and then once I got up there, it got broken down into the locals, and then it would take any outbound cars from Worcester, and it would go back down to Fresh Pond and set out in the yard over there, and then the yard master down there would break the train down, and then he would make a whole new train up for the following op session. So basically, the yard guys are always working one op session ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I've always had things. Or if you're always, once a train leaves, that's it for that train. But the inbound traffic into that same yard, that switch engine is actually building the next session's train that just actually left.
Right, and I had a couple of interchange trains some that would leave Worcester. So one would leave Worcester, one would leave Fresh Pond, and then they would both go out and they stop at every yard and then change cars in every yard along the way. And that's how we moved those cars, to the locals that way. Right. Any cars that came back and off that job went back to the main yard and got resorted again to go out on another train.
See, all that sounds really, really fun.
Yeah,
that sounds. I like going and I mean I work on I'm an engineer for a local on the CN, and I do local work all the time.
That's what I was going to ask you. What's that other layout you operate on?
I get to operate on the 1-to-1 layout. It's taken me a lot of time to build it, but I've got some pretty realistic scenery. I bet. But the thing is like for me, whenever I go to someone's layout, it depends on my mood. Where sometimes I show up at like Luke's house and I just tell him I don't want to do anything. I just run trains around the layout. I don't care. And other times, hey, can you go do this? Sure. I'll go do this. And he'll start assigning me all the time sensitive stuff because he knows that I'll get it taken care of because he knows I understand how everything's supposed to work. And he was actually one of my conductors at one time. So it's kind of fun because we work with a lot of we have a lot of railroaders that are actually modelers that go to his sessions. So that makes it even more interesting,
right?
But no, that's very cool. I'm always fascinated at how people actually operate larger layouts because it's so different, but yet they're all very similar.
All right. I mean, I had 15 guys, and they were one-man crews, never doubled up.
Oh,
so we had two dispatches. So I had a dispatcher right there in one of the rooms, and then a second dispatcher lived in Ringgold, Georgia. So he dispatched his end of the layout from Georgia.
Oh man!
Right? So I had a guy in Worcester Yard, a guy in Fresh Pond Yard. Then I had 3 interchange trains, 3 locals, Stone train, ethanol train, coal trains. I had trains everywhere.
Yeah. We go over to Luke's house, and you get 15 guys in his basement. And he's got all incandescent lighting. I mean, you're sitting there, wife beaters and speedos by the end of the by the end of the session. Oh yeah, it gets a little ripe.
I bet. But it was fun. I mean, I hosted, I think by the time I tore that layout down, I think I had over almost 720 op sessions. Yeah, at least.
Holy man.
Yeah, but I hosted the National Convention in New Haven. I had 4 operating sessions for those guys. I hosted 2 NER conventions. I had almost 4 op sessions for each one of them those conventions. And Mark was there every time helping me out. And a few of my other guys, and we had a lot of people travel through my layout over the years. A lot of people. Wow. Kaylee was there. Kaylee was there. She's ran there.
Holy cow!
Yeah, 700 and I think it was like 720 to 750 op sessions. I remember I used to operate every Thursday night because I was the only one that had a layout. Then once we started getting guys that had layouts, we ended up with Mark's, Tony's, mine, Joe's, Mike's. So we had 5 layouts. So I finally dropped off and went to once a month. So I had I forgot what it was. What was mine? The third Thursday of the month, Mark?
Yeah, you had the third.
Yeah, I had the third Thursday of the month. And we just cycled. Every week we operated, but at a different layout, which was way nicer because it's a lot of work to try to get your layout ready every week for 15 people.
Yeah, I would say. Holy man, Lionel, that's a lot of operating.
That's a lot of operating.
It was fun though. I enjoyed every minute of it. I miss it. I miss that layout.
Well, yeah, but it looks like you're making good headway now, and maybe
I am.
And maybe you're going to change the scene. Maybe you're going to change the scene down on that side of Florida, because there are some people out there that are good operators, and they have good layouts. There's a lot of good layouts in Florida. You just got to find them. That's all.
Yeah, that's it. I'm on a mission.
Yeah, you're on a mission. Yeah, on a mission. On a mission from God.
Yep. Get these guys out of their shells and get out of their own house.
Yeah, I want to ask you two questions, both you guys, a question, but I want to ask before we get off, because we're running out of time, but you guys will be on again anyways. Well, maybe Mark will. I'm not so sure about Don. I'm just kidding. Spoon, look at this picture on Don's where he's done the backdrop of the Charles Miller Building It's not too far down in his photos, and you've got like a real like you got actual trees in front of the backdrop of these factories.
Yeah, so those that's just a photo backdrop that's there right now.
I know, but this is one of the best. This is such a great idea. I wish I had thought of this. It's because it's photo backdrops of factories, but then you've got actual trees that that are on the layout in front of the photo backdrops. And does it ever look realistic? It really makes the whole thing look really realistic. I can argue. So, how much scenery have you done on your layout, your present layout?
If you look at the pictures in the beginning, there's just some pictures right in the beginning. When you go onto Facebook,
yeah.
And you'll just see. And I don't have. I just started doing scenery. I just actually painted the base coat on one section, and I'm waiting for my scenic supplies to come in from Scenic Express. They're a little slow on shipping, but they'll get here. I mean, it is what it is. But I got a box of trees from another place today. But I got the backdrop up. I've been working on that bridge. That bridge has been my focus for the last week. That 90-foot Walters Bridge I put in there. So that's. I do a lot of different things. I don't like working on the same thing all the time.
Sure, yeah.
I move around. I do a lot of different things. I've been jumping all over the place playing with backdrops. Backdrops are the hard part because you got to go out there. I got to go out to my computer. I got to find the right backdrop. I go on Google Earth and a Street View, and I try to capture shots of where I'm modeling, so I can use those. So that it's actually what's there. So it's hard. It's the hardest part of the whole thing is getting your backdrops right. Once you got your backdrops in, the rest of it just falls in place.
So is this a picture of your home there too? Just nothing to update this week. Still finishing January 10th. Was that a picture of your house you put up there?
I don't know. I'm not even looking at it, to be honest with you.
All right, let me ask you an easier question. Do you have a white Corvette?
Yes.
Jesus.
My God.
I know, eh? Come on.
I'm done. Interview over.
Yeah, interview over.
That's my wife's toy.
Okay. What year is it?
It's a 89.
All right.
C4. It's a 6-speed standard.
Sweet.
There's not many standard transmission Corvettes around anymore.
No, sure are not. My buddy, my friend Lex Parker lets me drive his. Oh. So there you go. So that backdrop is really, really cool. Can you send me a photo of that, or can you put a photo of that on the AML Facebook page and just a little?
I thought I put a bunch of photos.
Oh, maybe you did.
When I post photos at night, I post them on AML on my Province List page, and we have me and Mark. Well, actually, Mark started years ago another Facebook, which was called Tri-State Model Railroaders.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I post on all three of those. So
okay.
They should all be there already.
Well, that's where I saw your truck.
Yes.
Did you have any trouble finding Homosote in Florida?
Yep.
I'll bet.
I did. Yeah, they that and pink styrofoam ain't not popular items down here.
No.
But I found a place. It's called Easton. I think it's Easton Lumber or something. Northeast Lumber or something like that. They got a place in Vero and they got a place in Melbourne. And I just happened to call the place in Vero, and he said I have 4 sheets left. I said I'll be right there. I ran down there, and when I went and paid for them, I went out to the barn to get them, and I handed the guy the paper, and he handed me the paper back. He goes, "No way." I says, "What do you mean, no way?" He goes, "I told them that those sheets had big holes in them, and I couldn't sell them." I'm like, "Well, let me see them. Take them down, and I'll be the judge whether I can use them or not." So he took them down. Had one sheet had one little hole in it, about the size of a field mouse. I'm like, "Put them on my truck. I'll take them." That was it, because I went to another place. They had like 500 sheets in Tampa. I'm like, well, I'm most certainly not driving to Tampa for a couple of pieces of Homosote. But another thing they use down here instead of Homosote is 4x8 ceiling tiles upside down.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if that. I don't know if
those are like a half-inch thick, aren't they?
Yeah, but then they're a little bit. The trouble with the ceiling tiles is they kind of vary in thickness overall, so you kind of gotta match them all up. When I put my ceiling up in my shed, I didn't really pay attention to that. But one of the guys I operate on, he uses upside down ceiling tiles, and I can see he uses it. He just puts basically plaster and kind of evens it all off and everything. I mean, it's workable. It is what it is. You got to use what you can use.
Yeah, you're making great headway in your and you finished the ceiling and everything, eh?
Yep, it's got ceiling. It's got a combination mini split air conditioning and heating unit in there because it stays nice and toasty. The only thing I found with the air conditioner is that with those split duct units, they pump a lot of humidity into the room because they don't, in a room that size, they don't really run long enough to dry the air out. So I had a humidity level like 80% in there, and as soon as I walk in, I can feel the wood and the benchwork. It's wet. I'm like, this ain't right. I went out, bought a little dehumidifier. I put that in there. Now the smiley face on the humidistat came up. It's only about 40% humidity in there, and it's absolutely nice in there. Works good. I don't have any problems.
So Mark, you were there in December.
Yeah, December was nice.
It's always nice in Florida.
It is.
It is always nice in Florida. I don't care what month of the year it is. It is always. I don't care how hot it is. It ain't snowing.
He'll learn that eventually.
Yeah.
I like snow.
Well, good for you.
Yeah. I'm no.
Yeah. Let's see how much you like it by tomorrow night.
Yeah, right.
Man, that must be tough when you're go and do a fire call when it's a snowstorm.
Yeah, we usually have the worst ones then too, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Everybody burns the house down after a snowstorm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
always happens.
Yeah. So, were you surprised at the amount of progress he'd made when you went down there in December?
Yeah, I was surprised. He got a lot done, but like I said before, he just works quick. He came over here one time and helped me with scenery, and man, I'm over there working on like a 2-foot section, and he's banging out like 5 feet of scenery in like no time. It's like, man, it's unbelievable. But
yeah,
he's got that skill,
Yeah. Maybe Don, maybe you could go back up to Connecticut, Old Saybrook, and help Chris Adams with his.
Why not? I got to go up there and see my father too. So
there you go. All right. All right.
So Mark basically helps me out, and I was the guy that did all the DCC sound installs for the whole group.
Oh yeah.
And I still do it. They send me the locomotives if they have problems with them. I fix them, send them back, and I put sound in for them. That was my thing, was doing the sound and keeping everybody's and speed matching everybody's locomotives. That's what I did.
So
you do your own weathering then too, or
yes.
you?
Yep. Just look at my locomotives. I did all my own weathering.
Wow, that's awesome.
So here's the big here's my question for you guys. This is it's not a trick. It's not a trick question, but I'm interested in both you guys' answer. How long have we been going? Well, we're getting to the end now. This is the last question, Spoon. Unless you have one after I'm done, you can. Spoon,
no, I'm good. I'm information overload on me right now.
Okay. So you guys have both been in the hobby pretty much your whole lives.
Yes.
So you've seen it. You've seen it when it was a circle of track, and there was nothing. There's none of the electronics there is today. There's none of the social media there is today. Me personally, I think this hobby is exploding, and we're all going to be covered with model railroad goo. Mark, what do you feel like the hobby's doing?
Well, I think it's growing. I really do. I think social media stuff is just pulled people out of their basements. It's pulled people out to see what other guys are doing, and it's just it's on fire right now, I think, and it's going to go good places. Once we get through this pandemic, watch out.
Yeah. I mean, it's connected all of us.
Yes.
I mean, you guys met at a convention, and we all still. Are you either of you guys NMRA members?
I am. We both are. I've been in 25 years last year.
Vote for Gordy.
I did.
Already did.
All right, good. Man, there's 2 more. Man, we're gonna sweep them in. So okay. Yep. So all right, Mark. So you think it? So what about you, Don? What do you think the hobby? What do you think of? I mean, with both you guys, you both found each other. Would you say 2006? You guys became friends?
Yes, we've been friends ever since.
So,
and the NMRA brought me and him together.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, we've gone to conventions. I've been to a ton of conventions, and with Mark, I was going with another friend of mine that I've met before Mark, and we used to go to all the conventions. We went to Canada for the convention up there, and then he left us, and then me and Mark, we were doing the op session stuff up to your drop, and up in Syracuse. we just get in the car and just go and do our thing. But the hobby is definitely growing. There's no two ways about it. I mean, just look at the stuff the manufacturers are pumping out these days. It's endless. You sit back and you say, what's next?
Yeah.
And there's always next. So I think this hobby is going to last a good long time. There's a lot of young kids coming in into the hobby. I mean, there's no young kids down here where I am, so I can't even really introduce anybody to the hobby. But if they wanted to, I'd be more than glad to.
Yeah, but I bet you, what we don't see is how many people, under the age of 30 even, how they're finding each other on the internet, through social media. And I think there's a whole pile of people out there that, that we don't even know about that exists, that, aren't magazine guys or anything. I think the hobbies, I think we're on a verge of something we've never could have imagined.
Ever since I've joined the AML nation, I've gotten friend requests from a lot of different people, and they've been looking at my Province of Worcester page on Facebook, and it's definitely in the last 6-7 months has grown a lot.
Yeah, I know. Hey, that's what's cool about the AML nation. I mean, I'm nothing but the head cheerleader, but I mean, it's cool how we're all finding each other and we're all making these connections. It's really, really cool.
Did a great thing there, Lionel.
Well, and you guys, but it's all of us. It really is. It's all of us. It's sure I hit the button, I push the button, but really at the end of the day, it's all of us taking part. That's what makes it go.
All right.
I think we had fun, don't you, Spoon?
I had a blast.
I knew you would. I knew you would.
I had a blast.
I know.
I like learning new stuff about places that I'm going to invite myself to.
Exactly. Yeah.
When we get Springfield back, you guys are welcome.
Oh yeah, I know. So, Don, are you going to go to Springfield? When did you move to Florida exactly?
I moved to Florida we moved down here in August of 2019, but I wasn't retired yet, so I got my wife. Well, that's when Mark came down. We got my wife all set up so she had to spend 3 months down here on her own till I retire, because I didn't retire till October.
Right.
So I've been down here full time since October 2019.
So did you go up to Springfield in 2020 then?
I did not. That was the first year I missed. Because we used to set up with the Coastal Mountain Modular Group. I don't know if you probably remember it. It was in the Mallory building. It was that 160-foot long layout right in front of the food concessions.
Yes. Yeah, I remember that one.
Well, I had a paper mill right in front of the food concession. That was my paper mill module. I had like 16 feet of paper mill module in there.
So do you think you'll go back? Like you'll start making that pilgrimage every year?
I may once it's, I definitely tuned into the virtual train show this weekend. That was some of that was interesting. I listened to some of the stuff I wanted to see. It was good to have. It's not like being there. You can't buy nothing.
No.
So, but definitely.
Hey,
actually, I think I'm going to talking about Mark going to come up in November for the go to the Ops to get drop in Syracuse again too. So.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, let's start. We'll have to talk about that some more. We don't have time now, but we'll talk about that again. We'll get you guys back on. We'll talk about that Ops till you drop, because I don't know if I've talked to anybody about that. Is that an invitation only, or how does that work?
It didn't start out that way. They just put an email out, and I think, if I remember correctly, they only can take 42 guys, Mark?
Yeah. Bill Brown runs that.
Yeah, Bill Brown, he runs that, and they basically send the email out to the guys that have been going right along, and so this way you get your, it doesn't. I think it costs like $10 for the whole weekend, and except you just got to pay for your room, the hotel room, but that's no big deal. But and I think if they fill pretty quick, but if they don't fill, then there's a waiting list or something of guys that can go. I don't think it's first come first serve though. I don't remember.
Hey, Spoon.
Yeah.
Today, we're recording this, but it's actually a couple of months ago. I don't know exactly when this is, but it's right after Jack Travolino's 47-part trilogy. But Jack Traboccino, who is Dave Abeley's right-hand man. But anyways, today's episode, Spoon, was Mike Hauk, who lives in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And he has a beautiful layout, and he doesn't know it yet, but we're coming to operate his layout.
Oh, perfect.
This might be the first time he finds out, actually.
Yeah. Well, let's see. If everything goes according to plan, it should only be a few weeks away from Tom's stock.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Well, yeah, that's a. Hey, Spoon? Do you remember if there was any big news that came out of the virtual Springfield meet?
there was quite a bit of big news that came out of Springfield. Yes.
Any that you were interested in?
Yeah, just a little, but it's nothing major. Really.
So.
Nothing like an SDL 39 being produced by Scale Trains or them buying up the S Scale MTH tooling and stuff. Nothing major.
Yeah, exactly. By now you'll have been pestering Shane Wilson to death.
By now I probably have a restraining order.
yeah, exactly. Well, boys, that was pretty good. We got to call it a day now, but we're going to do this again, obviously.
Okay.
What did you think, guys? What did you think, Mark?
Great. I enjoyed it. It was a good time.
Yeah.
I had a great time. Yeah, definitely like to do it again.
Oh, yeah, we will for sure. Let's see, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So, and I see both you guys are wearing your AML shirts, and you probably bought them from Midwest Model Railroad.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's what I did.
Beautiful. You should check those guys out when you need supplies, too, because Midwest Model Railroad sends their stuff out ASAP, and their prices are really, really good. And Patreon people get $10 Patreon people get 5% off. So there you go. Anyways, if you want T-shirts or hats or hoodies or mugs or anything like that, you just go to Midwest Model Railroad, and their URL is midwestmodelrr.com, and you go across the navigation bar and click on AML, and boom, you're in a wonderland of AML stuff. And then they have like 11,000 other items on their website of model railroad stuff. It's like a 9,000 square foot. It is a fantastic hobby shop. I went there in November of 2020. It's a fantastic. It's like a 3D Walther's catalog. Spoon, can you do the email address?
I can. If you would like to get a hold of us at the AML network via email, you can contact us at Modelers Life. That's Modelers with one L, like Shelby, Montana, not two L's. Like, this is going to be a little off the cuff, like Valley Falls, Connecticut.
Wow.
At gmail.com.
Wow, nice one. That's nice. Why can't Kelly do that?
Well, I was taking notes. I was sitting here right in the middle of the interview, and I'm like, Lionel's going to ask me to do the email. I better come up with a good 1L, 2L thing. And I'm like, he keeps on talking about Shelby, Montana. I'm like, hey, there's 1L in Shelby. I'm like, oh, write that down. And then I went and I looked over on Don's thing. I'm like, Valley Falls. That's kind of stretching it. That's actually 4 L's, but it's 2 L's in 2 separate words.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that.
We can do that. Oh, yeah. For sure. And if you want to send an email without just typing out the address, you can just click on the agitated mailboy's picture there in a slightly more agitated state. And let's see what else is. I think that's pretty much got our. Oh, we have a website, modelerslife.com. Go there and you'll find out all kinds of cool stuff about the podcast. That, I think, is it. Now we got 2 guys here, so I think what we should do is, Mark, you should say happy rails, and Don, you should say to you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. And you got to do it with enthusiasm.
Yes, sir.
All right.
This has got disaster written all
Yeah, I
over
know.
it.
Yeah.
I hold up very little hope that this is going to work.
Yeah, we are going down the back straight at Daytona Beach, and we're headed into the chicane in the Rolex 2400, and we are.
And the windshield, it's raining and the windshield wiper isn't working.
Yeah, and the brake is like 18 hours into the thing, and the brakes are faded out. And
yep. This is.
There's gonna be a lot of grass and turf flying before we're done with this one. First I got to find the script. See, we're in trouble already. I should know it by now, but I want to do it just exactly right. See, so that's
as we close the barn doors.
There you go. All right. Well, Mark and Don, as we close the barn doors on another episode of A Modeler's Life, and the sun slowly sets over the back 40, I guess there's nothing else left to do except for you to say,
Happy rails.
To you.
While in Busted Knuckle, guests of a Modeler's Life podcast stay at the Casa del Sol Motor Court and Inn, where late-night dancing at the Rumba Room is a magical event to be experienced.
It's another Lincoln Homer.
Wow, that went off a lot better than I thought it would.
Yeah, I know. Me too.